Our first guest on Live and Local this afternoon is the Deputy Federal Leader of the Nationals and Shadow Minister for Water and Emergency Management, Senator Davey. I'm happy to say she joins us in the studio this afternoon. Senator, hello.
Hello, and it is so good to be here face to face.
It's wonderful, and you got to listen to a bit of Dusty Springfield as well before we kicked off.
I love the music you play on 2BS. It always gives me a smile.
That's what I like to hear, Senator. You've made a trip to the Central West. How have things been among the community?
Look, really interesting. I've been out mainly to have a look at the flood recovery. I went out to Molong and Eugowra yesterday, hearing on the ground. There's been great strides taken, but there is still so much work to be done. I also heard directly from people on the ground the issues they're having with telecommunications. So after the flood, everything got knocked out. It got restored fairly quickly, but it hasn't been permanent solutions, and there are still some issues. So as soon as I left Eugowra, I got on the phone to contacts in Telstra and lost service several times, so hammered home my point. But I'm very pleased that I've been able to connect Telstra with some of the key community leaders, and hopefully we'll get some permanent and longer term solutions. I know Telstra are doing work, but I think there needs to be better lines of communications between the community and the company, and hopefully that will happen.
Senator, how important are these troops coming out to the regions right across the country, I suppose?
Oh, sorry, absolutely vital, because I get to hear firsthand from people who are actually living it and seeing it. So we stopped at the granite stonemasons yesterday as well and talked to him. He'd been displaced after the floods and was put into a pod. He's now back in his home. But just hearing the various stories and the strength of community out there. I also visited children at Eugowra Public, and they were able to tell me of their experiences. But seeing the resilience in the community and the support within the community is really humbling, and it makes someone like me sort of feel like, they are the special ones.
And you can take those issues back with you and raise them.
Absolutely, and I do work closely with the Emergency Management Minister, even though we're not in government at the moment. Emergency is not something to be politicised, and so I make sure I feed back what I see on the ground directly to government and to the agencies as well.
And you also returned back to Molong, having a look at the Main Street renovations. How are things there?
Yeah, they've done so much work through the Building Better Regions Fund that the then coalition government had in place. They've been able to revitalise their main street. It looks great. They've got trees. They've got, paving in the main street. It's really given a lift to the mood and morale of the town. And on the back of funding that the state coalition government gave for the community centre, which is just reopened, new library in place, well above any future flood zone, and new facilities where they can have functions, state-of-the-art catering kitchen. Really exciting to see that community, bouncing back.
Things coming back in Molong. Now, next week, a Senate inquiry hearing into supermarkets will be held in Orange. Why was it so important to come to the Central West for these hearings? Yes,
and I met with one of the local horticulturalists last night while I was in Orange, who is going to present to that committee. It's important for us to hear not just from the supermarkets, not just from the corporate shiny coats, but also from the farmers who are having trouble with their supplies, to hear about the contracts that they are actually being made to sign and what works in the contracts, what doesn't work. I've certainly heard from particularly horticulturalists that they sign up to a contract to supply a certain amount of product, but the supermarket can change their mind at any time, by which stage the farmers have already invested in making sure that they can supply that volume. So it's really important that we hear from right across the supply chain. So not just the farmers, also the logistics, the truckies, the warehouse workers, the abattoirs and the supermarkets, to make sure that we get a broad-ranging view of what is going on.
Senator, what are some of the other stories you're hearing from people about the issues the supermarkets having, especially from farmers, I suppose, as you've travelled around?
Yeah, a lot of the things is the contracts, also with suppliers who might produce the end product, like, for example, olive oil. Just the arrangements in place to get their products onto a shelf where people see it, and also then helping to market the products in store. There are all these hidden costs to producers that we, the consumer, never hear about. We get the catalogue in the mail, 9 times out of 10 we chuck it in the bin, but there are all these secret deals that they do to which product is highlighted, which product goes on special this week, and which product is in your eye line, or even those dreadful products that are put right at the supermarket counter so your kids have a absolute tantrum when your mother walks past them. I have very strong experience of that myself.
Yeah, we will be speaking to the chair of the National Farmers Federation Horticulture Council a little bit later on in the program about this issue, Senator. I really appreciate your time this afternoon. Thanks for coming to the studio.
Great to be here, and I hope I get to come in face-to-face more often.
Wonderful. Thank you.